Hi, Recap Corner here. Today, we're gonna be doing a big breakdown to discuss our film The Equalizer 2. Spoilers ahead. Be prepared, watch out, and take care. At the beginning of the movie, the action takes place on the Turkish Railway, which is located 400 miles away from Istanbul. Denzel Washington's character, Robert McCall, enters the bar cart of the train and joins his target, a Turkish man named Adam Karst. The latter had kidnapped McCall's daughter from her American mother out of spite for his ex-wife. As soon as the man learns about McCall's mission, he orders his men to eliminate him. McCall carefully observes the room, sets his timer, and then proceeds to punch, smash, stab, and neck snap all of the goons. He then confronts the kidnapper and offers him an opportunity to take an easier way out. Grace Tom Mara Hickey arrives at her lawyer's office in Boston where she finds her daughter waiting for her. Overcome with emotion, she tears up and embraces her little girl. In his current job as a Lyft driver, McCall often interacts with his passengers while keeping a watchful eye on others. One of his regular customers is an elderly man named Sam Rubenstein or Bean who is trying to locate his long-lost sister. One night, McCall is called to drive a young woman named Amy Caroline Day home after she has been drugged and possibly raped. McCall takes her to the hospital, but then decides to take matters into his own hands and returns to the apartment of the men who assaulted her. After urging them to do the right thing, the leader of the group tries to attack McCall, but he uses the man's credit card to cut him before breaking his and his friend's bones and leaving the scene. A man named Mr. Calberton Juan Lartigue returns home in Belgium to discover that his wife has been badly beaten and is crying. Suddenly, three men Resnick, Jonathan Scarf, Arikazi Tauginas, and Kova Garrett Golden appear and shoot the wife in the head. They then make Mr. Calbert sit down and Resnick forces a gun into his mouth before pulling the trigger. One day, McCall discovers that his neighbor Fatima's Sakina Jeffrey garden has been vandalized and the walls have been sprayed with graffiti. He begins to clean up the mess, but he is soon approached by Miles Whittaker Ashton Holmes, a young man who often talks with McCall and aspires to be an artist. Miles offers to help McCall remove the graffiti, but he asks for payment in exchange. McCall visits the bookstore to pick up a new book that he had ordered. He notices that Grace, the clerk, is present and her daughter recognizes him, but Grace is unaware of McCall's heroic act. Later, upon reaching home, McCall finds Susan Plummer Melissa Leo already present, and they have a cordial dinner together. Susan reminds McCall that it is Vivian's birthday and suggests that he socialize more. Afterwards, Susan confers with her colleague, Dave York Pedro Pascal, regarding the investigation into the murder of the Calberts. They travel to Belgium to examine the crime scene. Upon returning to her hotel room, Susan is followed by two assailants who attack her and demand money. Despite their aggression, she bravely resists their assault and manages to fend them off even when they corner her in the bedroom. While watching Miles paint the wall, McCall receives a call from Susan's husband, Brian Bill Pullman, informing him of her murder. In response, McCall travels to Washington, D.C. for her funeral and subsequently begins his own investigation into Susan's death. This involves reviewing hotel camera footage and examining crime scene photos. The thugs are inside their apartment, listening to loud music, when they hear a phone ringing. They soon discover that the sound is not coming from either of their phones, and after searching the apartment, they find a second phone on the floor. As they answer the phone, an explosion emanates from their radio, instantly killing them. Unbeknownst to them, Resnick and his accomplices were responsible for the explosion, and they watched the outcome from outside the apartment. McCall locates Dave, who had previously assumed McCall to be deceased. Together, they discovered that the two thugs have been killed, and McCall deduces that they were simply loose ends that needed to be eliminated. He also realizes that Susan's death may be connected to the Calbert murders. McCall notices Miles leaving with two gangsters from the neighborhood. He tails them to their apartment, overpowers their guards, and seizes their guns, ultimately forcing Miles to return with him. Although Miles had initially intended to seek revenge on the thugs responsible for his brother's murder, McCall makes it clear that he wants nothing to do with these individuals. While driving a passenger who claims to be heading to the airport, McCall becomes suspicious and purposely takes the wrong route. When he confronts the passenger, the man pulls out a knife and attempts to attack him. In response, McCall drives recklessly, violently knocking the attacker around and elbowing him repeatedly. The passenger then tries to shoot McCall, but he manages to disarm him and shoots him instead. McCall retrieves the assassin's phone and discovers encrypted information on it. Before setting fire to the car with the assassin's body inside, he destroys the phone. Due to his concern that Brian may be targeted as a potential loose end, McCall takes him to a safe house until he can resolve the situation. McCall brings the phone to Dave's house and shows him the information. As Dave's family leaves the room, McCall traces the phone source back to Dave's phone. He reveals that after they believed him to be dead, Dave and the other men who were all trained by McCall in the CIA became involved in criminal activities. When Susan came close to uncovering the truth, Dave murdered her. Dave takes McCall outside, where he confronts Resnick, Ori, and Kovic and vows to seek revenge for Susan's death. Dave's wife then gives McCall a ride, which feels like a taunt. While Miles is painting the wall at McCall's apartment, Dave and Kovic attempt to break in. McCall tells Miles to hide behind the bookshelf, but Miles starts to feel claustrophobic. As Dave and Kovic search the apartment, McCall calls Dave and tells him where Miles is hiding, leading to Miles being kidnapped at gunpoint. McCall returns to his childhood home, which is being evacuated due to a hurricane. The four villains search the town for McCall. Kovic enters a shop where he believes he sees McCall, only for McCall to shoot a harpoon through his head. Ari then pursues him, but McCall catches him first and slices him up and down his entire body. Resnick follows McCall through another shop and is blown up by a grenade, causing his stomach to burst open. Dave is abandoned at the top of a tower, attempting to snipe McCall. He contacts him and informs him that Miles is hidden in a trunk and that Dave will kill him if McCall does not surrender. He fires several taunting shots, but when he gets to his final shot, McCall shoots the tire of Miles' car, causing Dave to miss him. McCall then ascends to the top of the tower and confronts Dave. He attempts to stab McCall, but McCall is quick. He gouges out Dave's eye before grabbing his knife and stabbing him in the abdomen, and then he slices Dave's neck from behind before throwing him off the tower, where he smashes against the rocks and is swept up by the ocean. McCall goes to free Miles and discovers that he has been shot in the leg. He transports the boy to his childhood home, where he treats his wound and stops the bleeding. Miles then sees photos of McCall as a soldier, as well as photos with Vivian. Fatima returns home to find her garden restored and a mural painted by Miles, depicting scenes from her homeland. On the opposite wall, the words "I leave you with the best of myself" are written. Meanwhile, Miles is on a bus, showing a drawing he made, inspired by McCall, to a girl from his school. Sam is reunited with his sister Magda, played by Gloria Paper, thanks to McCall's help. The final scene shows McCall standing outside his old house, gazing out at the ocean. Thank you for joining us into our review. We hope you had as much fun watching it as we did breaking it down for you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video from us.